Good evening, everyone. This is Logan Giles with StormDecember.com, and here's your advisory number two from the Giles scale. The paper will be in the link of the description. And here's your advisory number two on Tropical Storm Veda, which is in the Gulf of Mexico. Once again, this has been a really active season. The same areas will be under fire once again. Texas coastline, and the entire coast of Louisiana, and a little bit of Mississippi as well. So here are some key points from the 5 o'clock advisory. The intermediate advisory, which they just updated the cone, came out about 30 minutes ago. So here's the key points. So the expected slow motion of, beta is a slow mover, and it is expected to produce a tremendous amount of rain for areas that are very vulnerable to heavy rainfall, such as Houston and Corpus Christi, and those areas in between, like Rockport. This rainfall could cause flash flooding, urban flooding, and cause those rivers to rise. We saw those rivers rise to record levels during Sally in Florida and Alabama. Now, it is uncertain how high these rivers will flood, but it is expected that you'll see some pretty high river crests, especially along the coastline. Of course, inland also. Storm surge. It's also a threat. Life-threatening storm surge will be a real thing from high tide tomorrow through Tuesday. So beginning tomorrow, along the Texas coastline, you will have life-threatening storm surge. That is above 3 feet. That can and will flow cars. So if you are in a storm surge warning, please either move to high ground or evacuate. There was a voluntary evacuation outside the Galveston seawall today. So evacuations have already begun. And tropical storm force winds are expected to start along the northwestern Gulf Coast by tomorrow night. So tomorrow night you will already begun. While hurricane force winds, which is a bit of a question mark, is possible late Monday night into the overnight hours. Now let's look at the latest cone. Now they don't have this as a hurricane anymore, although they said there's still a hurricane warning, although I'm not going to include that because I don't have full confidence this will be a hurricane, but it is possible. So a hurricane warning is in effect for areas between Corpus Christi and Houston. So those areas could see winds over 75 miles an hour sustained beginning Monday night into early Tuesday morning. The wind field of Veda is fairly large. It is a little displaced as shear has been hampering the system all day today. Now, in terms of who's under storm surge watch and warning, the storm surge warning is from Corpus Christi all the way up to Houston. So those areas in the bright pink right now, those are under a storm surge warning, where you could see a water rise of 2 to 4 feet. That is life-threatening. Areas under light pink, such as downtown Corpus Christi to Port Mansfield and up towards Beaumont and Camden area, some areas that got hit during Hurricane Laura, are under storm surge watch for a surge of 1 to 2 feet. Now, we're not talking about like 5 to 10 feet where we saw during Hurricane Laura, but these areas have been hit before, so they are still recovering from that hurricane. And here we go, another tropical storm. Again, it's not going to be anything close to Hurricane Laura, but this is going to cause some rainfall issues especially. Now, speaking of rainfall, let's go to that rainfall. Extremely heavy rainfall is forecasted for parts of Louisiana and Texas. Over 10 inches of rainfall is anticipated for parts of Texas and all the way the entire most of the Louisiana coastline. As well, with excessive rainfall, over a half foot is expected well inland and parts of Texas and Louisiana. So even that heavy flash flooding rainfall will be a factor much further away from the coast. In terms of storm surge, I'm not expecting as much as the last few storms, but still life-threatening between Baffin Bay and Calcasieu Lake, and Sabine Lake. So Cameron, for example. So that's where that storm surge warning is in place. I'm going to guess the storm surge warning will be extended for some parts. So there's that. Now let's go to the Giles scale, which I just issued. So as you see, there's a category 1 to 3 rainfall risk for Texas, Arkansas, and Louisiana. Now I've added a category 3 risk, which would make this a major hurricane impact between Houston and Corpus Christi. Now this is totals over 17 inches. Now you may look and say, oh, it's only going to be a tropical storm or barely a hurricane at landfall. Who gives a damn? This should not be the thing. We had the mayor of, I believe, Gulf Shores, Alabama, say no one really took this seriously, so no one was prepared, including myself. Rainfall is going to be a problem. Unfortunately, Greek names cannot not be retired, although this might make the case for that, assuming what beta does as it makes landfall. Even inland, a Cat 2 risk of rainfall, which is double digits, still. A lot of flooding, a lot of rain. Inland, even a Cat 1 risk is still a lot of rain. You're talking about over 5 inches of rainfall, and these areas do flood quite a bit. Plus, they've been already damaged by Hurricanes Hannah, Laura, and Sally, so they've already been weakened. Houston has been untouched, but they should have some urban flooding, maybe some flash flooding in and around the city. People in those areas know areas. People in that area know which spots flood, so they will know how to prepare. Please listen to your local forecast offices as well as the National Hurricane Center. I'm going to give another advisory tomorrow evening unless something changes, which I will give another update as that comes in. Please stay safe, and I'll see you all tomorrow night.